Hey everybody, it's me, Dorothy, and I want to introduce you all to someone. I've been talking about him. This little guy right here is Jensen. And today we're going to be talking about how he kind of got into the world and my birth story and my experience. And I've talked about, I love these stories. I love hearing about everyone's experience because everyone's experience giving birth is so different. So anyway, I thought you might enjoy getting to meet him, and hopefully he can just hang out here with me and be good and not too fussy or anything. Okay, so he was due on July 4th, and with my firstborn, Marcus, he was due in November, and Marcus came a week early. And so they say when you have your second one, a lot of the time they're early. So I thought, okay, my firstborn was early, so my second is going to be early. Well, we had invited family, and they were here. We were all waiting. They'd all come like a week early. So we were all waiting, and it was a week before I was due, and I was so ready to have the baby and to be done being pregnant. And I mean, every day I would wonder, is this the day? Now, I had something that made it a little difficult though. I think it's prodromal labor. I think that's the word for it. Also known as false labor, different things like that. It is not Braxton, okay? It is, I don't care what people say. This is something else. So let me explain that. So about, like I said, a week before he was due, ready to meet him, ready to, stop being pregnant, one night I started to feel that achy, like, contraction feeling. So, yes, okay, I think it might be starting. Awesome. So I go all night with contractions. They felt like contractions. They weren't just pressure, they were very painful. They were coming about, not super consistently, but they were like 20 minutes apart, then 10 minutes apart, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm in labor. And so I was just waiting to get down to that 5-minute apart marker. Well, anyway, went to bed, and I thought, okay, when they get too bad, they're gonna wake me up, and I'll know. Well, I wake up the next morning, and no contractions. I thought, oh my goodness, I thought I was in labor and no contractions. So I was a little disappointed, figured labor must be close. So then the next night, same exact thing. I got tightening, I felt achy, they were getting painful, 10, 20, 30 minutes apart, and I thought, I'm in labor, this is it, because they were coming for hours. And I thought, okay, it's just taking its time. And again, I went to bed, thought, I'm gonna have this baby, I'm gonna have to go to the hospital tonight. And like when you think that, you prepare, right? You tell everybody, okay, this might be it. And I had my oldest son, someone had to watch him. Okay guys, get ready. This might be it. We all get excited and wake up the next morning and still no baby. And my contractions had stopped. This went on for almost a week. And let me tell you, by about the third day of this, I woke up every morning crying because I was so done being pregnant. I felt like I was never going to have this baby. And I didn't want to be induced. I really didn't want to be induced. Well, my due date came and went, and doctor said, oh, okay, you are 3 centimeters dilated. We are going to schedule you to be induced next week. And I was thinking, oh, okay, sure, but I did not want to be induced. I just didn't want to, do that. I wasn't induced with my first one, and I preferred that. Okay, same thing. The day after, I was due, made the day for whenever it was to be induced, and the false labor kept starting. And guys, it felt like real labor. It felt like real labor. I really, every stinking time thought I was in labor. It was horrible. And every night it would, come, and then in the morning around 5 a.m., 6 a.m., the contractions would stop. So it was so frustrating. Again, I was like, I'm gonna be induced. That's gonna have to be what happens, right? Well, okay, so it was 2 days before I was scheduled to be induced. And that night, by this time, I'd given up all hope. Every time I felt those contractions, I just, no, I'm not in labor. So it was Sunday evening, I believe. Same thing started happening again. Had the contractions, so uncomfortable, painful even. And I really thought, nope, I am not in labor. This is the same thing I've been dealing with this past however long. Well, I had those contractions all night, and they kept going into the morning, like past 8 a.m., past 9 a.m. But now, mind you, okay, you over there might be thinking, girl, you were in labor. Well, I didn't think that because I'd had almost 2 weeks of false labor. So by that time, I thought, I'm going to be pregnant forever. Well, so it kept getting stronger, kept getting more painful. Still in denial. I was like, no, I'm not in labor. The contractions were 5 minutes apart for quite some time. Like, I'd been timing them just in case. Still didn't believe I was in labor. Told my husband, and he said, we need to get you to the hospital because it sounds like maybe you are. No, I'm not in labor. I'll let you know. So he went to work. I was like, just go to work. I'm not in labor. It's going to stop anytime. And my brain was just like, no, this isn't happening today. Well, finally, at one point, I was on my kitchen floor, on my hands and knees, in so much pain. I finally thought, maybe I am in labor. But I'm not sure. I still didn't think it really, but I texted my husband. I said, hey, just in case, maybe come home. And he came home, and he said, we're going to the hospital. So got me into the car, and it was so funny because my husband was like rushing me. He's like, come on, when you go. Because by this time it was like 3 minutes apart, my contractions. And I kept telling him, let me do this in my time. Like, I need to do this in my time. So I was like getting ready, and I remember I had even made lunch for my son, and my sister was there too, and I made lunch for them, and I didn't think I was in labor, so I was just dealing. And finally got me in the car, and we made our way to the hospital. We get to the parking lot, and it was so funny because he wanted to drop me off at the front. Like, just go in, they'll get you a wheelchair if you need it. By this time I was kind of doubled over because it was getting really painful. And I said, no, I will just walk in with you. I don't want to cause a thing. Like, I don't want to make a scene. I don't want to make a thing. And he was like, are you kidding me? And I said, I kept saying, I need to do this my way. Let me do this. And so he's like, okay. So, of course, the closest parking lot to the entrance was completely full. And it was funny, actually, there was one parking spot, and my husband was about to get into that parking spot, and someone, like, cut us off and took our spot. He was so mad. Like, oh my goodness, he was mad. Like, I told him, it's fine. We'll get there when we get there. And, of course, he was, like, not having it. So anyway, we ended up parking not one parking lot, not two parking lots, but like the third, like, satellite farthest parking lot you could get. And of course I'm having contractions pretty often. It took forever to get there. Finally got there, got in, and the lady checking me in, she was like, oh girl, you're having a baby. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure, like, whatever. I'm just gonna have to end up going home, I'm sure. I just was so convinced. I had convinced myself, I'm not having this baby. I'm going to have to be induced. Well, of course, we get up there, and the doctor checked me and said, oh, you're 6 centimeters. So obviously I was having the baby. So with my firstborn, I was in labor a total of 6 hours, most of those at home. I was laboring at the hospital not even quite 2 hours. So with him, when I got to the hospital, my firstborn, I was 8 centimeters, almost 9. I labored maybe, not just like so short, like maybe an hour, a little more than an hour, and he was out, he was done, all natural, nothing, and it was great. with him, I was in the hospital longer, and it was so much more painful. Like the contractions, they were so painful. And when you're at the hospital, you can't do what you want. You can't, you're hooked up to a bunch of stuff. So it was more comfortable for me to be like on my hands and knees, or to walk around, or just, so when you're at the hospital, it just feels more painful. I don't think it was necessarily more painful. Maybe it was, but when you're just hooked up to everything and you have to call a nurse if you want to like do anything, it feels longer and more painful. And it was really, really painful. The contractions were so bad. And I had told them, I'm just going to do natural. I did it with my firstborn. And anyway, ended up, long story short for that, I had been just in so much pain and miserable. They ended up giving me medicine for the pain, not an epidural. It was like something in my IV. I don't even know. But all that it didn't help the pain at all. All it did was make me really sleepy and really loopy. And I just remember being really, really loopy and then feeling the pain. But luckily I slept and it made everything shorter. Well, then the doctor, actually I had a midwife. He came in and he said, okay, I just remember waking up out of this like fog because I think the medicine was wearing off, and he, checked me, and they had to break my water. My water never broke. I've never had my water break. My first one, it didn't break on its own, and my second one, it didn't break on its own. The doctor had to break it each time. Well, anyway, so he broke my water, and he didn't say anything, and I was like feeling the urge to push, need to push, and I told him, I said, I feel like I need to push. And the reason I didn't do that was because with my firstborn, the doctor would tell me, okay, contractions coming, push. Or the doctor would say, don't push. She was very involved. She's telling me, push, don't push. I don't know why she did it that way. Maybe someone out there might know, but she was very specific instructions. Push, big push, little push, don't push. And so with that being my first experience, I was waiting for the midwife to tell me when to push. And finally I said to him, I feel like I need to push. And he was really chill about it. He was just like, okay, so push. And I was like, what? I can just push? Whoa, cool. So I just remember hearing that, and I was like, okay. So I started pushing, and it was a really neat experience for me because with I didn't have an epidural, so you can feel everything, and it was really cool to be a little bit more present. With my firstborn, the pushing was so painful that all I felt was pain. It was like pain, baby. Whoa, okay. With this one, the contractions seemed more painful. The pushing was not as painful. I mean, it was painful, but I just remember so excited I could push, and then being able to feel everything going on was really cool. And he just told me, just listen to your body. Push when you feel like you need to push, which was so freeing to me. It was awesome. So anyway, pushed, and I think he told me I pushed for about 10 minutes, and here he is now, and he's like a month old right now. He's really filled out. He was born 7 pounds, 2 ounces, 20 inches long, and it was a little bit different experience from my first, but it was a good one. It was a good birth. I had 2 children naturally, which I can't believe I did that. I was able to do that. I'm the kind of person, though, you do you. If you need an epidural, because that is painful, you do that. Or if you want to try natural, good for you, you try that, or whatever. But I was lucky enough that I was able to do it naturally, the way I wanted to do it. I didn't have any complications or anything, and I'm so thankful that everything went well. So anyway, that is how he kind of came into this world, and he's been awesome. He's been just such a joy and a blessing. So anyway, I thought I would tell you about my birth story. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed getting to meet Jensen, and maybe you'll see him in a few more of my videos. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.